Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. It's been a while since I've uploaded a video because I've been working such ridiculous hours lately that I just haven't really had the time or the energy to do a video. I've barely even gotten in any workouts during that time, so it's been kind of challenging. But this week I got some time off for good behavior, so back here at Barn Body World headquarters, got my workout in just a bit ago with some moderate rep kettlebell swings and some heavy push presses. Got that out of the way, but that's not what this video is about. Instead, I wanted to talk about something I've been seeing a fair amount about on YouTube fitness channels lately. People have been discussing Dr. Joel Seedman, not a medical doctor, but he has a PhD, and all of his overly complicated, gimmicky workouts and such that he posts all over on Instagram and whatever. I haven't really followed any of that, but I've seen enough pictures of some of those workouts to think that they're just ridiculous circus sideshows. Everything seems to involve multiple bands and lifting platforms and power racks and benches, and takes a whole bunch of setup and is just really complicated for no apparent reason other than to make it look like he's some sort of guru that has this magical workout and he can make more money off of it. But anyway, that's not really the point of this video either, because some of these other decent YouTube fitness channels have covered that and debunked the stuff that he's doing. But what I wanted to discuss is that inevitably, every time somebody legitimate comments on that and does a video, then in the comments section, it seems like there's at least a couple of people saying, well, you know, it might not be the ideal for strength or hypertrophy or whatever, but I can see where it could work on stability in the core and that sort of thing, you know, doing all these instability type things. You know, there could be some value in strengthening the core by doing that. And that just sets me off every time I read those comments. I mean, who really thinks like that? Like, you should have to come up with some elaborate setup and some gimmicky exercise just to work the core. You know, why bother? If you really want an instability challenge and to work the core, just pick up something fairly heavy and walk with it. It really is that simple. So let me demonstrate a few things to show you what I mean. So the very most basic loaded carry that strongmen and competitors and various others do just on a regular basis, it's very functional, very simple. It's just the farmer's carry or farmer's walk, whatever you want to call it, where you have a weight in either hand and you just pick it up and move with it. You can either load it up really heavy and go for short distances just for maximum weight, or you can work on conditioning and muscle endurance and go with the lighter weight for longer distance or whatever. But you can use, like I have some implements that I built myself. Just load the plates on there, whatever weight you want, pick it up, start walking. And that really works on all the stabilizer muscles. And especially as you get heavier, can be a real challenge. If grip is the limiting factor, you can use lifting straps to make it easier to hold on to and really just hammer the whole body with that. But the micro adjustments that the stabilizer muscles have to make as you're moving side to side and forward and such really works the entire core. And if you haven't tried it, you'll be amazed at how much it will light up all those muscles. And, you know, farmer's carry, you can do it with these, you can do it with dumbbells, kettlebells, buckets with water or concrete in them, sandbags. You can grab the neck of the sandbag and carry it like that. If you want more of a grip challenge, you can just take a weight plate. This one's only 25, but you can go heavier, you know, whatever you happen to have. Just pinch grip that thing and carry it. There's all kinds of variations, even like 5-gallon gas cans, big bags of groceries even. It's just a very functional movement. You just pick up weight in both hands and walk. Another option is a trap bar. You can really load that up heavy if you happen to have one. Like this guy. If you put a lot of weight on that, it's not quite as unstable as the individual implements because it's one solid piece, but you can go a little bit heavier with that. And then if you really want kind of a different challenge to the core, you can occasionally put weights on it and go like this with the thing front to back, because it will want to rock and it'll really challenge the forearms, and you'll have to work really hard to stabilize that and keep it from tipping front to back. So that's just another option there. Then another type of carry that really challenges the stabilizer muscles side to side is the suitcase carry, which is very similar to the farmer's carry, except just one hand. Just pick up something on one side and walk with that. And actually, this is 90 pounds here. Doing that in a suitcase carry is actually harder than doing a farmer's carry with that much weight in either hand, because the whole point is to try and keep the shoulders level and not let it pull you to the side, and not lean the other way to try and support it, but just to hold steady as much as possible and just carry that weight. And again, you can do that with many different objects, whether it's the farmer's implement or sandbag, gas can, bucket, whatever. It's a little awkward because it bumps against the leg, but that is a great way to really work on the obliques and everything. Just make sure you do equal amount with both sides, where everything's balanced out. But I try to do suitcase carries relatively frequently, including with a weight that I have at my office. It's relatively compact weight that I can hold at my side, and I carry that up and down the stairs from my office. Switch hands when I get to the top. When I go back down, I'll use the other hand. And that's absolutely brutal, because as you're stepping up onto each step, it really, with a decent amount of weight, it wants to really jerk you around. So just really makes all of the core muscles fire extremely hard just to try to stay level and not staggering around like a drunk. So anyway, those are the variations carrying down at arm's length. Now I'll move these out of the way and get into some of the other options. All right, now that we've covered carrying heavy objects down at the side, and then the next step for variation would be in front of the body, which can involve either bear hugging something or Zercher carry position, which is just in the crooks of the arm here, or front rack position, which I'm not very good at because of the length of my arms and mobility and such, but I'll demonstrate anyway. And these front of the body carries can be done with a barbell, or in this case, an axle. So you can do that like in a Zercher or front rack position. You can use a rock or a sandbag or a barrel or something, bear hug it like so. There's multiple options with that too. You can use a slosh tube, which is just a pipe with water in it that splashes around, really makes it unstable. If you get that kind of heavy, it will challenge the core in an amazing way too, especially as you move and the water sloshes from side to side. I sometimes use a log, or you can sort of see back over here, I've got some beams that got one a pretty decent length beam. I carry that in a Zurcher carry, but in this case with an axle bar, just to demonstrate. Basic Zurcher position, pick it up and carry it like that. And again, you can load it up really heavy and just do short distances, or work on that endurance. Anything on the front of the body, the further you go, the harder it gets to breathe because it's compressing the chest. So that makes an additional challenge. So that's one option. Another option, as I said, is the front rack position, where you just kind of put it across the front of the shoulders and hold it in place with the hands. That one also can be a little hard to breathe after a bit because it's sort of pushing against the neck. So you got to be careful that you don't overdo it and cut off your air or blood supply. And then like I said, you know, you can go with rocks or barrels or whatever. So then after the front of the body, obviously another possibility is back of the body. You can put something on shoulders and walk with it. This one you can actually go quite a bit heavier. So, you know, because that's a fairly stable position, kind of the same thing as if you're doing a squat, except you're just walking with it. So you have to load it up pretty good to make it challenging. And if you don't have a squat rack or something to set the bar on, it can be a little bit limiting on the weight because, you know, obviously you have to get it into this position. Ideally, you'd have a yoke. And, you know, like strongman competitors, that's what they tend to use. You can load up a yoke really heavily and just get under it, pick it up, and walk with it. And I have plans for that, but I haven't gotten around to building one yet. So until I do, I just have to make do with cleaning it and then getting it behind my neck or take it out of the squat rack. So a little bit limiting. It'd be nice to have a yoke that I could take outside and take for little walks with extreme amounts of weight. But anyway, that's a great way to pile on the weight and really work all the muscles of the body and stabilizers and everything too. And then there are overhead options also, which of course is going to be limited by the strength of the shoulders and such, and trying to keep everything stable. But you can do that with an axle or barbell or whatever. You just push it up, stabilize it, and start walking with it up there in that position. Of course, that one you have to go a little bit lighter because it'll get tiring in a hurry. And it's a good way to get injured if you're not careful. Really have to keep the shoulders stable on that because you don't want to twist it over backwards and tweak anything in your elbows or shoulders. But doing that for moderate distances is I can't even describe the sensation. It makes the shoulders and upper back and torso, everything just burn. And then you can also do it with weight plates or kettlebells or whatever. If you do it with two, it's kind of similar to the barbell, except that it's more unstable because you have two moving parts instead of just the one solid bar. But you can do that. Again, you can use a log or a slosh tube or whatever. Then there's another variation, is the waiter's walk, which is just one object, one side. Again, you got, whether you're using a weight plate or a dumbbell or a kettlebell or whatever, just lock out one side and walk with it. And you can actually combine this with a suitcase carry on the other side, or a front rack or whatever. There are multiple options, but waiter's carry is pretty good to just work on one side at a time, and again get that kind of cross body stability working, and just work the obliques and all of those muscles. Just one more option that doesn't involve any elaborate setup or anything. Just pick up something, press it up there, start walking with it. Very simple, very effective. And if you really want the Joel Seidman experience, you can do those carries with the bottoms up too, which he's always talking about for lifting, but he doesn't do for carries, where you're just balancing a plate or a kettlebell or whatever up like that, and that is extremely hard on the arm and the hand and everything to stabilize that. But then when you combine that with walking, then it just increases the challenge greatly. So rather than just doing a standing overhead press or something, if you want to get the real instability and core challenge, try doing those bottoms up waiter's walk. Just another awesome alternative. And then these are just quite a few of the possibilities. There are other options too that I haven't even talked about that are similar to that, but not necessarily a full carry. For instance, you can load up a wheelbarrow really heavy and push that for distance. And that gives a different kind of challenge, because you're not only are you trying to stabilize it side to side on uneven ground. Don't do it on pavement, that's too easy, But if you're on uneven ground, it's bouncing around and stuff, you have to stabilize it, but then you're also straining against it, trying to drive it forward. And to ramp up the challenge on that, you can push it uphill and then control it back downhill and keep it from running away from you. Or you can push it through deep snow or whatever. So just another option there. And with any of these carries, if you want to increase the challenge, you can do it on uneven ground. You can go uphill. You can do, like I said, with stairs, a suitcase carry or farmer's carry. If you have room to go up the stairs, that's an amazing challenge. And if you really want to ramp it up to the next level, if some of my videos I've done loaded carries up the extension ladder using a sandbag, but that's kind of limited by my grip strength. I can only go 60-pound sandbag and my grip wears out fairly quickly. But I also discovered that there is room to do a suitcase carry with my farmer's implements up the ladder. And that is just absolutely brutal. It hammers the hips too, as well as working the legs really hard. So just another amazing alternative if you have the equipment to do that. It's pretty basic and extremely difficult and effective without any kind of elaborate setup. So that's just scratching the surface. There's plenty of other options for loaded carries. You can kind of come up with different variations to satisfy whatever muscles you want to work and you know, fit with the equipment that you have and the space you have. So anyway, that's just kind of a broad overview of that. So I hope that makes sense, that you don't need to have any kind of elaborate setup with lots of bands and other equipment. It can just be as simple and effective as doing loaded carries, and you can get a great stability challenge and core workout. And as an added bonus, I think there's much more carryover to real world with loaded carries than there is with all these circus routine things, you know. And this is just my guess. I haven't actually seen any studies to confirm it, but just based on my experience, I would say that it's far more likely that someone who does consistent variations of loaded carries relatively heavy would be able to do the weird Seidman routines fairly easily, but people that do those sorts of things wouldn't necessarily be terribly good at loaded carries or actual real world stuff with picking up heavy things and moving with it. Of course, like I said, that's just my opinion. I don't have a PhD, so who knows? But I hope this has been of some use to you. I need to get in some more of my functional training now. Yeah, you know I'm just kidding on that one. This has been Republic Jim. Talk to you later.